Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. I haven't done one for a few days. I wanted to kind of catch up a little bit here. I hope you guys are having a great evening. Let's go ahead and kind of do a couple of shout outs. I know some of you guys want me to kind of get through these kind of fast, but I want to recognize people. I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate donations, all the things you guys are doing. So I wanted to give some recognition along with that. So bear with me, Warriors, until we can get to it. So let's do a few. Mangler 824, thank you, my friend. Palmiczz, thank you. Slippery 413, thank you. Iron Cowboy, thank you. Brandini 1816, 101 days, I like the analogy with lions. We may talk about that at some point. What he's basically saying is the lion basically doesn't have to show how tough the lion is, how much control, until the lion has to, and then is why the lion can attack. But they show that fear because the lion has the ability to be able to attack, but chooses not to. And that's highly attractive to female lions and females in general. Good analogy to the lion. I appreciate that, Brandini. Jhamilton, 8 months at this point. Thank you. Good job. Woundsnwonder, thank you, my friend. Vax Sirius, thank you. Davidvenam, 8659. And I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and talk about a topic here. I'm going to combine a couple here. One from our viewer, Shawn Reinhardt, and the other one's going to be from Jessewatt. So we're going to talk about need to live alone first and stuck in lust. So I'm going to combine a couple of these together to talk about this. So at the 2-minute mark, we're going to talk about the fact of how do you handle lust. Lust is a key issue when it comes to retention. Now, what is all we're talking about here? Again, what we're talking about is something that you have within yourself that you're fighting on a daily basis. We have this battle. The reason I say battle on at the end of the videos and Warriors Unite is because this is a battle that comes back down to something internal within each one of us. And that battle is this idea of lust, especially in this case, okay? The addiction is lustful. Now, what does it do? Well, of course, we know when we're releasing, right, that lust is something that we feel all the time because it allows us, it drives us to do things. Sexual energy, according to Napoleon Hill, really is the basis of how we behave. You know, if you castrate animals, if you go ahead and stop people, humans from, using their sexual energy, they'll die, especially males. And so males need that. So males by nature are the hunters. They're by nature using strong sexual energy to get things done. So you can see that what ends up happening is that this lustful behavior of procreating, finding females to have children with, going ahead and looking at pictures, all this kind of stuff, you can see why this happens. And I fought this battle 47 years, back and forth. But it's only now that I recognize that really what it is, it's a battle within yourself. And what you have to kind of realize is all these temptations out there, and I don't care, it doesn't necessarily have to be pornographic or something like that. It could be more dealing with, smoking cigarettes. It could be doing drugs, drinking. All these things are just illusions out there to get you tempted so that you're releasing. Now, why is that important? Well, now all of a sudden when you're releasing and you're doing it for other reasons besides having, a procreation, having children, you're doing it because it makes you feel good. And now it becomes a high for you, especially that few minutes once you do it. And now you can become addicted. And so this is where Satan can use this type of behavior to draw you more away from the Lord, away from God. And because he can draw you more away from God, all of a sudden he uses that more and more to make you become more addicted to the high. And now you want that high again and again. and now you see people releasing. And I've had a few comments that I got to catch up with recently asking about releasing several times a week. Is that a good thing, or once or twice? I mean, we're all in different stages. Obviously, the way I feel about this after all these years, and I'll be 64 next week, obviously I feel like that the only time you should be releasing is when you're procreating. And all these other times you should be trying to use that energy and transmute it. And we can always talk about transmuting. I think I do have that as a topic for another video. But you can transmute that energy to become stronger within yourself. And if you're keeping all those nutrients and all those things within you, remember, a sperm can actually create a child. So that's strong enough to do that. If you keep that within yourself, you're going to become stronger and stronger all the time. And I don't care if you're 20, 50, 60, 70, you can always continue to build back yourself. And that's what I've started doing over the last 4 or 5 years, building myself back up and keeping as much as I can with my energy. So, but one of the biggest challenges of this is as you start this process, you're now getting addicted to the sexual release. And so you build up that tension and you're releasing the tension, and that's where the addiction comes in. So lust, in a big factor, is something that you see as a person saying, okay, I'm attracted to this person, here goes my lustful thought, and now it's going to kind of result in an energy type of formation, and all of a sudden now I'm going to think about releasing. So a lot of people will sit there and it's a good example. I listened to some kind of interview today about someone who did OnlyFans. Now that woman has now, over 5 years, they were making, $400,000 or $500,000, pretty easily a month or something like that. Because lots of guys will go and sit there and they will go ahead and watch these, watch her do all kinds of crazy things and just kind of get released on that. And then it's just kind of to me, it's really a debased system where all of a sudden now you're at the point where you're getting more extreme and more extreme. And so when you're releasing, it is harder to build that back up again to the point where now I got to find something else that's going to make me even more aroused so that I can go ahead and release. This is why you see serial killers, you see all these people start off with just basic porn. In most of their cases, they have to build up to a bigger excitement to get that release. This is why it's so important to control it and nip it in the bud. As soon as you get some kind of arousal, you should be able to go ahead and transfer that and use that energy, get into activity, get into doing something else to be able to focus on that and get away from that. So the lust part of it is really important. The other part of this is that the more you're able to do that, the more you can be able to live by yourself. And I realize this is something as a topic that is not easy, but the Bible talks about this a lot as well. If you can't live by yourself, which is what I think Paul was talking about marriage, and talking about in the New Testament, but when you're talking about people, most people, men especially, now we're talking about men, should be able to live by themselves. I always talk about this idea that if you don't like yourself, how can others like you? If you're able to learn self-control and you're bettering yourself, you don't need other people to make you happy. Now, I could say this at 64 years old. I've gone through a lot of experiences over the years. I couldn't say that at 20. So I'm understanding totally what, if you guys want to push back, I can understand that. But if you can learn to live by yourself and you don't need people's validation, attention, those type of things, then you're in a good position to be able to kind of control things around you. And once again, if you can control yourself, you can control things around you. So lust does not become an important type of thing if you're able to control yourself and you're happy living by yourself. You don't need to have pictures. You don't need women in your life. You don't need that. Now, if a woman comes along and she's somebody that you enjoy being with, all that kind of stuff, that's wonderful. But you don't need her to give you identity. This is the fallacy that we have, which leads us to a lot of lust, because a lot of men feel like, okay, they got to be chasing women around. and they got to do that. Now, funny stories, I always see this thing with, and by the way, going back to the one person on OnlyFans, it was amazing on all the crazy things that she talked about that men would want to do. And again, they're trying to excite themselves so much to release, and they would just be sitting there releasing. And again, we're told in this society releasing is good. And somebody asked me that, I think, a couple days ago as well. And I'm going to kind of tell you that, in my opinion, after all these years, and this is 63 years, and you can take it for what it's worth, I don't believe you should be releasing. I know there's people say that, and they say, okay, this is a great thing for your prostate and all that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of research indicating now that you don't need to do that. Right? There's things you can do to take care of yourself. Keep yourself in shape, eat the right foods, exercise, all those things, meditate, all those things, and save your energy and using it to become the best person you can become. I feel better now than I felt when I was 25 years old. I was releasing. I mean, you can't feel well if you're always releasing. It's almost like you're giving up part of your energy. And for what? Now, people have been given this myth that it's great to, you can be healthier. And I know some people the other day said, stop talking about this crap all the time. Well, I would recommend those people want to try it and see for yourself. If you hold in your energy and you're not releasing for a while, see the effect it has. We've seen this over and over again. The people are shocked and surprised at how calm they are, how relaxed they are, how focused they are, and how all of a sudden women are attracted to them. Because now they have a man who can control themselves. They look at people who releasing as weak. They can make money. The woman was talking about, that was her perspective. Before she came to the Lord, that was her perspective, making all the money on a bunch of chumps just sending money in. And that happens all the time. Because men can't control themselves. And so they can't control things around them. So again, if you can control your life to say, okay, I can live by myself. I don't need women in my life. Not that women are bad, but your mentality has to be, I don't need a woman to complete me. I don't need a woman to validate me. I don't need to be, this prince and princess type of thing where I have to make sure she chooses me. This is all the wrong type of brainwashing we've had in this society for a number of years. But always the men who attract women, and all the women go after these men, are the ones not even trying to attract women. So I guess what I'm really saying, warriors, is don't bother trying to attract women. By that nature alone, you're going to attract women. Because your whole aura, your energy attracts women. They want to be with someone who they know is not trying and they're not desperate. They don't want your attention. They don't want your validation. They're going to be themselves. And so if you're doing that, you're controlling your lust, you're controlling your desires, and you're using them for other things. You're using them to transmit yourself, look better, your body looks better, your mentality looks better, you're putting them into your business, whatever it might be. All of a sudden, now you're becoming a stronger man. You're a high-value man. This is where you talk about all these people who are, even the bad boys we're talking about. Those people are doing their own thing. They're not trying to attract women. Women comes along, that's great. And women are wonderful, no doubt about it. But don't feel like your life has to be validated by women. And I know women will tell you the same thing about men. But actually, no one should have to validate anybody. Trouble is in the society because of the way it is and because of poor relationships we've had and parents all these years, lots of people getting divorced, all kinds of problems. People are looking to get validated, attention from all places. And part of that is, this is why OnlyFans are making so much money. All these things. I mean, the people who are performing it, the people watching it, all this is validation. And when you get to the point of like this, all of a sudden, you're willing to put all kinds of money and things down for that to get a little bit of excitement that you get. And so if you can control that, if you can put yourself in a position of a long-term satisfaction instead of short-term gratification, now you have something to build on, and all of a sudden you become more peaceful, and better yet, you're not destroying yourself, which is what people do with all these OnlyFans and all kinds of stuff they're doing. They're destroying themselves, releasing all the time. They don't realize it, and now they're in a more of a serious thing, and now all of a sudden it gets more serious, and now They have to get more exaggerated, all kinds of things, because they're basically having to kind of go to an edge to be able to get, excited. And this is why lust is a dangerous thing. And so if you have that lust, you got to tear it out of yourself. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by activity, by having goals, by working on bettering yourself. Get lost in activity. I had to do that for a few times. I had to get myself saying, okay, I'm not thinking about this anymore. As I call this monk mode. You're not thinking about it anymore. You just go do things. And when things pop up, or maybe all of a sudden you're feeling, excited, now you go do something. Whether you take a run, whether you're working on your house, whether you're doing your studying, whatever it might be, find something that gets your mind off of that. And I will show you breathing, exercises, things like that you can do to be able to also transform yourself into something else. But again, the secret is how to deal with your lust. And you have to be able to live comfortably, and how to live by yourself. If you're happy being by yourself, that you don't need people's pictures, you don't need people around you, now all of a sudden you're at peace. And now all of a sudden, now you control things around you because you make the choices of who you want in your life. You're not sitting there trying to please a woman. Maybe she'll see you, maybe she'll understand, maybe she'll appreciate you. Those things should not be happening. We've been caught in this, like I said, this blue matrix for years. And I call it the Disney model, that you have to go ahead and try to get the approval of the woman. And this is the only thing that matters, all this time. Most women do not want to take that responsibility. In fact, they push against it. And they'll lose their respects, whether it's their husband or whether it's boyfriend, whatever it might be. And they'll go for the guy who is that bad guy. Well, the bad guy is somebody who only that person is just doing their own thing. They may be rebellious, they may not, but they're only doing their own thing. And women want to be part of that. And women will, all of a sudden, and I've seen this happen, all of a sudden they go from a masculine voice to a feminine voice when they see someone who has masculine energy. Because subconsciously they want to be someone who is secure, and they'll give things to that masculine male because he's got the energy they want. And they don't want someone who they have to be the mother to and also the leader of the family. They don't want to do that. Most women are comfortable being that person who's giving to their husband. But you got to have somebody who has a masculine energy. And this is where you got to control the lust, control yourself, not be chasing, whether it's your girlfriend, wife, or it might be. Don't be chasing her like, she's the only one in your life. There's other things in your life, goal setting, your physical nature, your working, to get better, all kinds of things. You're doing that on a daily basis. You should strive to get better and better every day. And that's not including women at all. I see great enjoyment, companionship with women, a lot of great things, great times you can have with women, but it should not be the center of your life. God should be the center of your life. And then from that point in time, all these things will help out, and God will tell you what purposes you have. But to try to have any other person be a center of your life just defeats the whole purpose of who you are. You become a secondary person and not a primary person. And you're strong enough as a male, especially when you start controlling this and using retention, you're strong enough male to be able to say, I can be that leader. And this is what we're trying to do. So again, thank you guys. Let me talk, thank you guys from Jessewatt about lust, and also from Shawn Reinhardt about living alone first. I think those are a very important type of thing. Before you even get involved with women, you have to control yourself first. Learn to control yourself first. You'll find yourself in much better relationships. Okay, my friends, always a pleasure to talk with you guys. We'll do it again really soon. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And I always leave you two things. And I do that because it always makes a big difference when it comes to how we approach life. First, every day is a new day, which means you got to take advantage of that, seize that day, right? And you got to make that day the best you can make it. And appreciate and grateful to God giving you another day. So every day is a new day to a great warrior, and each one of you guys are great warriors. And second, again, we're talking about battling this temptation. Lust could be one of them, alcohol, another one, drugs, all kind of them. But they start with controlling your sexual nature first, because that's what drives people. All species are driven by their sexual nature, especially the male ones. And the males are the ones who need to procreate in any species, especially the human one. And if you cut that off and you drain that out, we become nothing but zombies. So that's why we have to continue to fight against that. Put the armor on, put the head plate on, the breastplate, the sword. And we've got to continue to battle on! God bless you guys. Have a great evening.